Last week, we processed 5 million leads for our cold email campaigns using a completely proprietary system vibe coded with Claude Code. We're about to completely get rid of Clay from our entire tech stack. And the crazy part is, I don't even know how to write a single line of code. Neither does James, my right-hand guy, who actually built the entire system and only learned Claude Code 3 weeks ago. We used Claude to build a custom lead generation machine that can process 272,000 leads per second. That's 1 million leads in 5 seconds. At one point, we were even Clay's largest user, hitting their platform 17.3 million times per week. And unfortunately, I love Clay, but it couldn't keep up with our scale. So we had to build our own system. And it only cost us $19.66 a month to run. In this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how we did this, the specific tools that we built, and maybe even how you can start building your own lead generation system, even if you've never written a line of code in your life. So let's get into it. So look, all of this is like just really new. And one of my core principles is just authenticity. So this video is going to be a little bit different. It's really just going to be me just kind of talking about a bunch of stuff. We're going to go over to a bunch of different topics. It's really just kind of be like a peek behind the curtain, like, hey, here's kind of everything that we're working on. And it's because I just think this stuff is really, really cool. And it's really, really fun. You know, why did we even have to build something like this? The thing is that we have really started to outgrow every single tool on the market. For Fixer AI alone, we were processing 9 million leads a month at peak. And the thing is, Clay, once again, great. I love the product. I think everybody should be using it. But for us, you know, Clay limits you at 50,000 rows per table. And in your entire workspace, you can only have 12.5 million rows in there. And on top of that, when you delete some tables, they like take a few days to actually delete. And so it's a really cumbersome process. And when you're processing millions of leads, like we do, you're clicking run all thousands of times and waiting for days for things to properly clear out. It just wasn't built for our scale. And you know, the economics didn't make sense either, right? Clay started playing around with the idea of charging per custom HTTP row and like custom columns. Like, you know what? We need to get ahead of this before it became a problem. So that's why we decided to build our own system. So about 2 months ago, I started playing with Cursor, and then more recently we switched over to Claude Code. Before we made that switch, I had spent about $3,000 in a month with Cursor, but when James and I were both doing it, we were spending $450 a day. And then Ralph Loops came out with Claude Code only a week or two ago, and it was also way better and way cheaper. Just for Claude Code, it's $200 per month per seat, which is a no-brainer for us, especially when compared to Cursor. And craziest thing is James, who had never touched any of these tools before, built out the entire core system in a week. Here's what we are running, right? All of our code sits inside a GitHub. I didn't even know what it was 2 months ago. And as far as I can understand, it's basically a cloud storage system for code. It keeps everything organized and backed up so we never lose our work. We also deploy workers to Railway. And Railway is really cool because you can, I don't even know a lot of these words, but you can deploy what's called workers on here. And so they can actually work through your code. So for example, if I were to go into this project here, right? We have this guy. It's able to process everything for us. It's just like code in here. Once again, I don't even know what the hell it's doing. Claude did all of it, which is pretty rad. And the craziest part is to use Railway. You can see here is where our lead processor sits. It's going to cost us $20.12, which when I was in here earlier, it was like $19.12, whatever I just said a few minutes ago. But Railway kind of hosts everything for us for when we need a lot of processing. And I've used Railway forever when we were using NAN. This is like a special instance that I had that was processing all of our workers. And once again, I don't even know what the hell this thing does, but it cranks. We were able to process like 12 million things per hour with this setup here. Railway is really, really dope for that. And so the thing is like these workers, right? You can think of them as little robots that process our leads 24/7. And, you know, we have like 50 of them running at the same time. So that's how we can actually process leads so fast. And you might be going, well, why is Clay so slow versus you? It's like, once again, it's nothing like that's wrong with Clay. It's that when you build something for yourself, you can go crazy with that, and it only has to be optimized to you. And if it errors, you know, you can just fix it when it errors. But if Clay errors 1% of the time, that's hundreds of thousands of users that are impacted, which is not good for them. So they're completely built for different things, right? And then what we like to do is a lot of these things is we also like to host. Railway is cool because you can also host Postgres databases on top of it as well, which is really rad. The other thing too is that we're looking at Convex right now, just migrating from Postgres over to Convex, but this is where all of our lead data actually sits. our databases, we store every single lead, every single validation result, every single enrichment. And we're moving it to Convex because it's going to be able to handle a little bit more real-time data for what we're doing. And this Convex isn't going to be a solution for everything. So for example, for outfound.io, which we're working on, this is going to have like a super custom, it's not going to be Convex, it's going to be Postgres database. It's built completely differently. And right now I would not be able to vibe code something like Outfound. We're working with our developer Stimuli. We've co-founded Outfound together. And so that's going to be a completely different thing. But what's great about it is it's going to have like a lead database for everybody to be able to use. But I wouldn't be surprised if in a year or two, a model actually could do what Outfound is setting out to do, right? We have front-end components that deploy on Vercel, and Vercel just hosts all of our code in a really cool way. And so what it does is it deploys it. And so Vercel hosts all of our dashboards and any visual interfaces we built. It like syncs up with GitHub. So whenever Claude pushes new code, it loads into there and I can preview it inside of it, right? And so this is what we can really see what's happening with all of our campaigns. Once again, our Railway bill is like super low. Our most expensive thing is Claude and it's only $200 a month. And then everything past that makes it really, really, really cool. And the speed difference is, crazy, right? With Clay, if I wanted to process 1 million leads, it would take 27 hours. And if it was perfect, and it would error out often enough to where we'd have to rerun stuff. So you're multiplying how many hours you're having to do in order to do that. And with our system, we can process 272,000 rows per second. That's 1 million leads in 5 seconds versus 27 hours, right? And so what's great about that is when a campaign isn't working, we can now pivot and reload new lists almost instantly, which no one else can do that. They have no idea like what kind of problems you're going to run into when you even think about sending more than 100,000 emails enough. Even then, most people can't even send 100,000 emails a month like we do at like entry level. By the way, if you're watching this and thinking this sounds like a lot to build myself, that's exactly why companies partner with us. We have built all of this. And if you want us to handle your entire cold email system, click the first link in the description to book a free intro call. But let's continue. So that's really the foundation. Now, let me show you the specific tools we built on top of this. These are things we, once again, just vibe coded with Cursor or Claude Code, and each one of them solves different lead generation problems. And James, once again, gets a lot of credit for doing these ones so well. So here's something that James built that is really damn cool with a front-end UR that our entire team can use as well. So we built a custom Google Maps scraper for local business leads. The trick with lead scraping with Google Maps is to do it zip code by zip code instead of like by city or by state. But the thing is that there's over, I think it's 32,000 zip codes. And so that way you can actually get a result for every single query. And James built this in Cursor with like 3-4 hours of work. And you see, once we have the companies from Google Maps, we run an AI enrichment to find those contacts. This AI will scrape any public database it can find to locate contacts at the company. And we run that through another AI layer to segment it further. So for example, are they a multi-location medical practice? Have they been in business for 20 years? It's able to find each one of those things and research it and have confidence scores. And so that lets us narrow down exactly to the right ICP before we ever reach out. And the cost is pretty insane, right? Typically for each company, we want to find 3 leads and the entire enrichment process costs 1/5 of a penny. That's 0.002 cents to find 3 qualified leads, which is really rad. Now, so a little bit more about that AI lead finder. We did the Google Maps scrape and then we're like, you know what, let's take this AI lead finder and put it on our regular process. So this doesn't just work for Google scrapes. We can use AI to find anybody who's on the internet at all. So what we do is when we pull data from AI Arc, who's one of our favorite vendors now, we just recently found them and they've basically completely replaced Apollo for us. If AI Arc doesn't have a match for the company, we will often find contacts through this AI search. So if we don't find a lead at that company, it'll go search out and it's always trying to find 3 more, which is really huge. And the other thing we did in it too, if it can't find a valid email for Joe, it'll go, okay, does Joe have any other valid emails? And so it'll look at personal email addresses, or maybe they have another job that they also work at, or like with high level talent, oftentimes there may be partners or consultants at multiple different companies. And so we'll go through one of their other emails to talk to them about this opportunity for a company they work. So that one's really, really cool. And so we run it for every single company where we didn't get information from our initial extraction. And once again, the AI is searching the entire internet to find leads for this. So it'll return LinkedIn profiles, confidence level, and reasoning for why each lead is a good fit. then we take a look at that LinkedIn URL and run it through our normal waterfall process in order to get the email. The reason that this matters is we get a massive uplift on campaigns where typical data sources will come up empty. So for example, if you go to like Apollo or LinkedIn directly, you might get like 30% of a list by the end of the day validated. And we're able to get that to above like 95% of context that we're trying to find with a valid email, which is really, really, really cool. It does sometimes confuse our clients because they'll be like, oh, Joe replied at this one company. He's not even an ideal customer profile fit. I'll be like, yeah, but like, look at his profile. You see his other job that he has is actually a perfect fit. And they're like, oh shit, that's really cool. Anyways, the next thing is that we've also built like ad library scrapers. With this system, we can scrape libraries at scale. So we built some for Google and for LinkedIn ad libraries, and we can find everybody who's running ads on Google or LinkedIn in the last like 30 days, 60 days, whatever threshold we set. And it creates extremely qualified lists. I mean, we can even filter it by like how many ads has the company been running. And, if the company is running ads, they're actively trying to grow. They're usually pretty good targeting for a lot of our clients, kind of regardless if they have an ad product or not. They probably have a budget set aside allocated for client acquisition. So these are much warmer leads than somebody who's not investing in growth at all. And nobody else has it, especially at the scale that we're running it, right? One of the other cool things that we built is an executive summary system. It's basically an AI system that analyzes all of our campaigns and gives me and James a daily report on everything that we should be thinking about and everything that we should be processing. Here, this is just giving us a snapshot of 15 randomly selected clients, giving us our average rates at scale, like what is everything that we did, analyzing all of our email to lead ratios, how many meetings have been generated from those specific campaigns as well. And then we also are doing other things right now where we're like analyzing the copy of a campaign, where like we're going, eventually I want to get to a spot very, very soon where I can go, cool, if I want to talk to the director of marketing at a paper manufacturing company, what are all of the things in the copy that are going to need to be in there in order to give us the highest multiplier on campaign efficacy for them? This whole system, it takes a template of every email we send and matches it to a schema, right? It takes subject lines, question, curiosity, statements, AI personalization. It looks at the hook type. Is it a CTA? It looks at the body messaging categories. It looks at the social proof categories. And it also categorizes the ICP for every client. And it generates those recommendations. And so that's something that like we're working on right now. That's really badass. And these will be reports that our clients get every single week very soon. And it looks at all of our sends from the last week, plus all of our historicals data for the clients. It'll look at what's working for other ICPs that we might be able to adopt to them. And then it creates that executive summary. Ideally, it'll be like, hey, for this ICP, this type of subject lines are winning based on this. Here's what we should do next. And then the system takes all of this data and programmatically creates campaigns as well as something that we're putting together. Another thing we built is it'll automatically clean out our instantly workspaces because they bill you for how many leads you put in, unlike like Smart Lead or Email Bison, which we really like. And actually, we're looking at moving everything over to Email Bison just because of that particular pain point. But either way, it deletes all the leads from the campaigns. It loads in the proper lead list. It keeps track of everything. And it sends us a really pretty report every Friday, which is why we call it Friday Analytics. All right, so the next thing is we have a lead database, right? We have our own private lead database with almost 50 million leads inside of it now. And we catalog every single lead that we ever pull for every client, if it doesn't violate like an NDA that we have with a particular client or anything like that. And so because of that, most of the time we don't even have to buy new data. We only need to fetch new people that have entered the marketplace. We can also analyze which data vendor has the most valid data for each ICP. And so here you see a bunch of zeros. This is not a production instance. This is actually a development instance right now. So it has a bunch of just like example data. It doesn't have real data inside of it yet. But you can see here, this is the general idea of it, right? So like we'd be able to analyze which leads, where did they come from? And then we'll be able to extrapolate results from all of those. So we'll be able to in real time to compare all of our data vendors, which would be really cool. Because Lead Magic might have the best data for cybersecurity, while Wizza performs better for e-commerce, right? And this lets us optimize our waterfall for each specific client and industry. These lists are managed all automatically. And so when a client gets low on leads, our system automatically deletes the old leads from instantly and uploads the new leads to the campaign so we don't get charged for storing leads that aren't being emailed. And so it's like actually saves us a ton of money on our instantly bill, which is really, really huge. Because of that automatic refill, we also know that clients will never run out of leads. And so the whole thing just runs on autopilot. And the other thing I'll tell you, right, is that a lot of these things that we're vibe coding ourselves are so cool that we're actually looking right now, all of these features to be put into Outfound if and when we decide to release outfound.io to the public. So stay tuned for that. And I get it. You don't need to be a developer to do this. Obviously, I'm an example of that, but it can still be a lot, right? But Claude Code has completely changed what's possible. I bought licenses for my entire team, including my executive assistant. We got rid of Cursor, popped in Claude Code, and she'll even use it just to process CSVs faster. It's the best dollar I think we can possibly spend. And the other tip I would give is I recommend you just start like with one pain point. Don't try to build like everything at once. Try to just build like one thing that like just saves you a little bit of time, or is like your most time consuming thing that you think AI could probably code on how to do yourself. And pick the thing that's slowing you down the most. You know, for us, it was the processing speed of row limits. It was the biggest bottleneck of our business whenever we were doing high volume, is we'd have to do a bunch of pre-work for a month to actually get the leads ready. Now, we don't need a month. We just need a few days, which is just huge for us being able to launch. You know, I mean, we have clients that launch for $100K a month on our accelerator plan to send 5 million emails, and we launch them within 1 to 3 weeks of them signing the contract, which is just mind-blowing. If you know, you know when it comes to that. And so, yeah, so for us, it was about processing speed and row limits and things like that. So we built the solution for that, and then we expanded to the next thing and then built a solution for that. When you want to integrate with something, you can just ask Claude Code too at any time, like, hey, how can I do this? It'll still take a lot of time. The tools aren't perfect, but we're willing to put that time in on the front end, because with automations, we get a lot of our time back in the future, and we're trying to be extremely leveraged with everything that we're doing, right? And so you can just ask Claude Code, like, go get the API for Lead Magic, and can you walk me through how to set this up? It'll literally tell you step by step. Just ask it really good questions and be willing to learn. And you know, you don't need to understand the code. You just need to know what you want to accomplish. And of course, be careful. It's not like I would ever release these apps to the public. They're really great for our private internal tools. You know, I don't know how security works on all of this stuff yet, but internally, I put some, you know, Work OS for authentication on top of it, and I'm pretty good with how that is. And so if you're running or want to run cold email at scale without hitting limits, paying too much, or waiting hours to process leads, there are really two paths forward, right? You can build your own systems just like we did. Start with Claude Code, pick your biggest pain point and start solving it in one piece at a time. Or if you just want the benefit of everything we're building without having to build it yourself, click the first link in the description and book a free intro call with us. We've helped companies like our B2B scale to $4 million in annual recurring revenue in only 4 months, and 42% of the revenue came from our cold emails. We built a machine that generated $4.3 million in annual pipeline for Fixer AI. And if we would have hit their total addressable market every 60 days, that would have generated $32.2 million in annual recurring for them. That's signups to paid conversions. Just absolutely insane. And we also help companies like Directive Consulting book 15 to 20 meetings every single day through cold email. So again, click the first link below and book your intro call with us. If you want to see the full breakdown of our cold email machine that was sending 8.8 million emails per month and was making Fixer AI $4.3 million a year and could have made them $32.2 million a year, then watch this video next.